Actually recording, liar.
All right. All right, everyone. Welcome back to a small edition, a mini edition of the Inside Track presented by CallRevu. This will be a short episode. Really, all we're trying to do here is give you an opportunity to get to know the hosts a little bit more, which sounds incredibly pretentious because I'm referencing myself and, of course, my co-host, Eric Glass. But we figure if you're going to be listening to us, hopefully subscribing and listening to the conversations, you might want to know a little bit more about who we are, our philosophy on why we're doing this, or just, what we're going to talk about and just all those things in general. Eric, let's start with you. That'll make me feel better. Listen, why start a podcast? There's a gluttony of podcasts out there. Every day, people are starting a podcast. Your neighbor, your cousin, your dog's starting one. By the way, I'm his first subscriber, Patreon, I'm in. Why are we doing a podcast, and why do we think we can do a podcast?
I don't know, Kurt.
That's the start, right?
No, yeah, I mean, look, I think we have something. No, I was going to say something else, but I was going to say the marketing hype spin thing that I'm used to, that I'm known for, but I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe slightly arrogant. Because we feel like we have something to say. We spent the last year at CallRevu really solidifying ourselves as the go-to shop for a unified solution and communications package. And I feel like a podcast is part of that, right? And we want to be able to have a medium and have a forum where we can have interesting conversation with interesting people. Not necessarily all about the auto industry, right? Well, that's going to be the primary focus of the podcast, topics and trends around that. We're definitely going to have some cool conversations that are not auto specific, to just learn our industry and learn the people that are out there. And yeah, that's that. I feel like I started really strong there and then faded.
I would agree. Here's a couple of things I'd like to add. Number one, listen, who has time during the day to stop at all times and watch webinars and be on demand, all that?
Nobody.
The portable audio scenario still fits best for the modern, business person. I love that people can subscribe, and look, not every episode will be for you, right?
Yep.
So, but when you're subscribing, this is what I love about podcasts is, there's a baseball one I listen to. It's one of my favorite podcasts. I don't listen to every episode, but I'll see something come on the radar that I want because I've come to like the host. I like the way they break down conversations, so I'll listen to that episode. And the other thing that I think we're trying to do, and it's up to the audience to decide whether we're executing it or not. That might take some time. It's a journey. It's try to be authentic.
Yeah.
Right. And look, there's a balance, right? But at the same time, like I want to have a real conversation with someone. The stuff that after you get off the mics, people talk about, how can we get people to bring that in onto the mics and have the real conversations of like, what's really happening here? So we're hopeful we can do that. Again, in time, the audience will decide if we are. But to me, it's just a no-brainer. It's a natural fit. Plus, I think you and myself, and this isn't always a positive thing, listeners, but we're curious, right? Million questions. Sometimes, I think there's no dumb questions. I know that's a cliche, but it's true. You've worked with me for a long time. How many times do I ask a question in a meeting and then I tell you afterwards, like 6 people sent me a message and said they were wondering the same thing. They were just afraid to ask. Right. So I think that's part of it. So let's get to your history. What are some of the roles you've done in your career, not necessarily auto specific, that apply, and you'll be bringing your experiences to these conversations from a larger view?
Well, I mean, we can't really include auto experience because there is none prior to CallRevu. And I wouldn't necessarily even consider CallRevu auto experience.
No.
Right? I'm still doing the same thing I've been doing for the last 20 years, which is demand generation marketing and go-to-market and creative type stuff. So I think that's the biggest thing that I bring to the show, right, is my breadth of knowledge around marketing and I existed in a world before Salesforce was even a thing, or Eloqua or Marketo. So I've been doing not to date myself, but I've been doing this a really long time. So that's, and then, my passion for content production, me, Kurt, I've got Twitch, I'm on YouTube, I'm on X, I'm on Rumble, I'm on, all the places.
And one of the things I love, can I tell you, I love that you, and I know you think this is the norm. You're like, why wouldn't I be like that? But a lot of people aren't like this in my experiences. You're very upfront about who you are,
Mm,
and I mean, you'll take a day off per se to be like, yeah, I'm gaming. I'll be like, are you going on vacation? You're like, no,
yeah,
it's a new
just
game.
gonna go play
That's
video
how I'm
games.
choosing. And like,
Yeah,
it's not like a secret. It's like, yeah, you can catch me on Twitch if you really need me. I'll be there.
yeah,
Um,
Thursday, for
I think
example, coming
it's
up.
it's very it's endearing to see people be open minded or
Yeah, I don't
open, I
think we get
suppose.
enough of it today. There's so many people that
Oh
are
my
trying to
god.
put on a mask or they're trying to hide authentically who they are. And yeah, I think that's thanks for saying that. I think that's the biggest. I am and you've known me long enough to know I am unabashedly who I am. And if you don't like it, I don't care. Bye. See you later.
I'm the opposite. I'm like, was that okay? Did I say something okay? Was that all right? Am I in trouble? Um,
Yin and yang, Kurt. That's why this will work.
I don't necessarily hide who I am, but I hear you.
Yeah.
You've also led sales teams, you've led CSM teams.
Hmm.
So I think you have a well-rounded portfolio of business acumen that makes you a good interviewer. And even when you're answering questions and whatnot, I think it adds. It's not just from one area. Is my point.
Yeah.
You've got all these different areas where you can draw upon. Um, so with that,
What about
um,
you though?
I'm a chaotic wild card. None of it makes any sense, as you know.
World renowned actor,
No,
podcaster,
yeah. I mean,
baseball enthusiast.
look again. Trying to own who you are. I came into quote unquote corporate life much later in my career. I spent a long time in the events industry. Yes, I was a filmmaker, writer, actor, social media strategist. I love content. I get excited about where it's going. Uh, not my peers don't always feel that way, but I do. Um, I was on the sales side of things for a long time as well in different capacities.
Hmm.
Got an interesting look at that. By the way, I will say one thing. I don't care what anyone says. I will go to I will go to town to war with this conversation. But if you want to learn sales, nothing can prepare you more than if you try to either start your own small business, your own side
Hmm.
hustle, whatever it is, because now you're in charge of every
Yep.
aspect. So, as you know, uh, one of my passions is collectibles. I buy and sell comic books on the side. I love it. It taught me, honestly, almost as much about selling as anything I've ever done. Like I can watch a bunch of seminars and do all this. It was being out in the field and having to adapt, or I don't get sales. It doesn't
Yep.
happen. I don't get to attain product. It was a whole different thing because I had to get product. How do you navigate that negotiation? Now I have it. How do I merchandise it? How do I get it out to people? They don't know who
Hmm.
I am. It's a whole thing.
Yeah,
So
it's a weird dynamic, and anybody who starts something like that will learn very quickly that
absolutely.
everyone is a sales. No matter what you are, no matter where you sit in an organization, everyone is a salesperson. Period.
So, what do you think about showcasing our authenticity here before we close out? Let me ask you some
Uh-oh.
hot topic questions.
We might not get any subscribers after this.
Or we might lose our jobs. That's
Yeah,
also an
maybe.
option. Okay.
Yee.
I want your unfiltered thoughts as much as you can, of course, Eric Glass. I'm just going to give you a couple. Okay. I got five here.
All
Four
right.
here? Four here. Just four. What are your thoughts on return to office? Hot topic. Everyone whispers about it behind closed doors. Where are you at with it?
I think it is highly dependent on team and industry, right? Um, do I think that every business needs to be in an office all day long every day? No, absolutely not. Um, do I think and I'll speak for myself specifically because I've worked remote since before COVID. I've worked remote for the last 10 years. I very much enjoy working remote. I'm a remote first person. I can collaborate and stuff like that. Do I enjoy going into an office and sitting with people every now and then, once a quarter? Sure. Do I think it's something that's needed? You really have to, as a manager, you have to look at it from on a company by company basis, and I think you have to decide what's right for your company and your organization, and uh, and make that decision from there. So. It's if would I ever force my organization to go back into the office? I don't think so. I think there's enough tools and enough collaborative fare out there that you can get everything done that you could in an office done.
Mhm.
But you know,
We agree. I think it's case by case. Certainly, there are examples I'll use. Perhaps with our audience, they may find this silly, but a TV writing room, you got to be there. You're
correct.
bouncing ideas off. You have
Yeah.
to feel this energy of everyone's tone and voice.
Yep.
Um, but there are other cases that I've seen. Watching how I say this, where it didn't make any sense. It's like I don't just give me the why. Is the why simply because you have office space and you don't want it to die? Is it because you don't trust me? Is it because
Or
what's
you
the
bought
real
X.
reason?
I don't know.
Right,
Maybe
right.
we'll see.
But I think that for me, and again, I'm a different personality type, and I'm not putting on air about me here. When I'm allowed to work from home because I have young children and it's very challenging, as everyone knows, and it's a perk, I actually work harder.
Hmm.
And also because we do content creation, which is creative, no matter how you can say it's not, but it is. Sometimes the spark isn't there, but it'll hit at 8 o'clock at night
Hmm.
or 5 in the morning. And it doesn't matter as long as it gets done
Yep.
properly. So
Correct.
I'm a fan. All right. Next up, what type of leader or manager gets the most out of you and your abilities?
Somebody who is very sincere and direct in their communications. I don't like in looking ahead on the questions. We'll get to the other part of this answer, but um, I don't like, and you know me long enough. I'm not a big fan of ambiguous terms. I'm not a big fan of nebulous planning or idea or structure. It's like just be authentic. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you think. I don't spare my feelings, which I think our current boss is incredibly good at that.
Smart move.
Uh, which is why I enjoy her. Yes, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I think our current CEO, who I've worked with for a very, very long time, is one of the best at this. Um, right? Just be honest, be candid. Tell me what you want. Don't fluff around it. We're all big boys and girls. Um, and then that's that. I think that's the biggest thing that gets the most out of me is to sum that up: clear and concise asks, dreams, and aspirations.
That tracks knowing who
Yes.
you are. Okay. I would say for me, it's um, knowing my strengths and weaknesses and letting me be me, not trying to make me someone I'm not. That isn't to say not to push me or to try to elevate me, but I would say that goes a long way when you know who I am. I don't know. It may sound vague to you, but you know,
Nope.
you know who
Nope.
I
That's
am. Got it. Cool. Yeah, I can't. I
why I
don't
enjoy
know
working with you.
them. All right. All right. Here you go. Here you go, Eric. I want to know. This is going to get us in trouble. What one company or business field, however you want to phrase it, would get you to consider leaving CallRevu? Not you got an offer for it's your passion is
Assassin.
ignited. What's that?
Assassin.
So if they came to you and said, "Listen, we're interested in you
Listen,
being
we
assassin,"
want you to go be John Wick. Yeah, sure, no problem. Let's do it.
we would understand. We'd be like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
here's
he's
your
going to
first
be an
target. All right,
assassin."
great.
Any others, perchance? Any
Now,
real ones?
okay, now being serious,
Yes.
um, I think if I got the opportunity to go do marketing, for a gaming organization, that would
Okay.
be, um, there's a ton here in Austin. Um, Not a big like EA or Ubisoft or one of those, but like a good, solid, smaller studio go run their marketing and content production. That would be pretty a pretty big bucket list thing where I would,
You'd have to have a conversation.
yeah, I'd have to have a
You're
conversation
like,
around.
listen, you got to understand this is
Yep.
not. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
For me, this might it won't surprise you, but it's not where you think I'm going to go. Certainly, I have companies or brands I'm very loyal to that I like, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want to work for them, right? Because I don't know what it's like, right?
Right.
I would say an ideal fit that makes sense if I could work in the collectible space.
Hmm.
Um, specifically like you know, an auction house
Mhm.
or one of these sites. I don't want to say the companies per se, but they specifically deal in high end pop culture artifacts and collectibles. And I could either lead, say, a CSM team or lead the marketing department, like
Mhm.
a comic book grading company, as an
Sure.
example. It would be nearly impossible for me to turn down, other than, do I got to relocate? Do I got to do this? What do I got to
Mhm.
do? But that to me would be like, oh, I can do this. Not just like, oh, I'd like to work for, you
Sure.
know, I'm a big Star Wars fan, but I don't sit there, I'd like to work for Lucasfilm. I don't know what I would do for Lucasfilm. I'm saying this is what I could do. End of story. If this job was available, I would crush it.
And not mess up the acolyte, but that's fine.
Right. So, all right. And my last question to you is, what's your pet peeve in the business world?
Um, and I touched on it a little bit, but just inauthentic business speak and jargon. Um, just say what you mean. We don't need an extra 15 words to get it out. We don't need to talk about optics and yeah. Just use words and speak like a
Corporate
normal human being.
vernacular. You're
Corporate
Yes.
vernacular is just, and Kurt, you've worked with me a very, very long time. I am the most professional, unprofessional person on the planet, because I have zero filter and whatever is on my mind comes out at any moment. And I think that type of inauthentic, just corporate speak is part of the reason the world is in the situation it's in right now.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. There we go.
So, and I'm saying this on purpose to mess around with your answer. But we agree. We're aligned, Eric, on this
Ugh,
particular
stop it.
answer. But it's true.
Stop it.
You know, I can't stand it. I think
I know.
the first thing I was asked was, what's your least favorite word when I joined the company? I said, it's a phrase, circle back. I can't
Yep.
stand it.
No.
You know, let's take it offline or whatever. Now, it bleeds into regular life and I can't deal with it. And I
Yeah.
think I'm very interested to see where this all goes, because we're in the age of algorithms and SEO and all that. And it's like, well, what happens when the inverse starts happening?
Right.
You know? So, and that was a bunch of words that I used. So, see, it's stuck. It just starts
It
happening.
worked though.
But you get my point. I agree with you. That's mine as well. So,
Yep.
any other final things you want the listeners to know?
No, I'm excited. The first episode will be coming up here.
We've already released the first episode.
Yeah, we've already released.
By the time they're listening to this, they've already subscribed. They've liked
you've
all of
already
it.
subscribe, follow on whatever your platform is, Spotify, iTunes, whatever it may be, Castbox. Who knows?
And if you
Is that even-
want,
Is that
here's
even a
one.
thing?
Yeah, I don't know. You can search us out on LinkedIn, hit us up, and if you got a suggestion for a topic or you just want to comment,
Let us know.
we're happy to answer or talk and converse.
It's not like you can't find us.
No, that's right. Eric will be on Twitch
Yeah,
every Thursday night, 7 p.m. to 2 in the morning.
Don't make commitments that we can't keep here.
Get those subs in.
Sure, I go to bed at 8:30.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. We hope you've gotten to know us a little bit. Appreciate all the support. And again, for the Inside Track presented by CallRevu, we will see you on up the road.
Mhm.
Mhm.